Let's learn a shtickle Toldos Shimshon on Perek Vov Mishna Aleph. Reb Meir says, Kol oisik b'Torah lishma. Anyone who learns Torah for the sake of Torah, zoiche l'dvarim harbe. He's zoiche to a lot of things. V'loi oid, and not only that, ela shekol ha'olam kuloi kedai hu loi. And the whole world is worth standing just for this person that's learning Torah Lishma. And then the Mishna continues with a lot of milas that this person who learns Torah Lishma reaches. And the Mishna says, Nikra Reya, he's called a friend. Ohov, he's called a beloved person. Oyev es hamokim, he loves the Eibishter. Oyev es habrius, he loves people. Misameach es hamokim, he makes the Eibishter happy. Misameach es habrius, he makes people happy. Umalbashto yanova v'yireh, and he gets cloaked with humility and with yireh shamayim. Umachsharto li tzaddik, he prepares him to be a tzaddik, a chosid, a yoshar, a nemon, a trustworthy person. Umarchaktoi min achet, it distances him from averis. Umekavosoi lidei schus, and it brings him closer to doing mitzvahs. And the Mishnah continues with all the milas that one who learns Torah Lishma reaches. But let's focus on this half of the Mishnah. So the Toldos Shimshon says that this entire Mishnah is based on a famous Gemara Masechta Shabbos, Daf Kuf Dalet. The Gemara goes through the 22 Aleph bays, what each letter is meramas to, what each ois teaches us. And the Gemara says, Aleph bays stands for Aleph Bina. Aleph Bina means learn Torah. Aleph is learning. Bina is Torah. Gimel Daled. What does Gimel Daled stand for? Gimel is Gemoil. Daled is Dalim. You should give and you should do chesed with poor people. Gemoil Dalim. And the Gemara continues and says, on this Gimel Daled, the Gemara points out a few interesting things. My time pshuta kare the Gimel legabe Daled. Why is the leg of the Gimel leaning, slanted towards the Daled? So the Gemara says, because Gimel is the one that's giving the tzedakah, Daled is the one that's poor and receiving the tzedakah. Shekain darko shel goimel chasodim lo rutzach hadalim. The Gimel runs after the Daled. The Gimel is the one who gives the tzedakah. He runs after the poor person, which is the Daled. Umay Taima, and the Gemara continues, why is the Daled, the leg of the Daled, slanted towards the Gimel? Because even the Dal, even the poor person, shouldn't make himself hard to find. The Limtze le nafshe, he should help the one who's looking to do chesed with him, and he should lean towards him. He should help him. He should help the one doing chesed find him. He shouldn't make it hard to reach. Umay timer mahader ape, the Daled migimel. Why is the face of the Daled facing the hay instead of facing the Gimel? The liten le betziner, because you should give him betziner, hidden chesed. The Gimel should give the Daled from behind him, not in front of him. He shouldn't embarrass him. Ki heichi lo lichsef minei. If he gives it to him in front of his face, he'll be embarrassed. So the Gimel is giving it to the back of the Daled. And the Gemara continues, what does Hey Vav stand for? Hey Vav zeh shmoi shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hey Vav is the name of the Eibishter. Zayin Ches Tes Yud Kuf Lamed. What does that stand for? So the Gemara says, Vim ata oiseken, if you do what we just mentioned, the Aleph Bina, if you learn Torah and you do Chesed the right way, Then Zayin Ches, the Eibishter will give you Zon Oischa. Zayin is Zon from a Zoinus. Ches is Chen. He'll give you Chen in the eyes of people. Tes Yud. Tes stands for Meitiv Loch. He'll do good for you. The Eibishter will give you good things. Yud is Yerusha. He'll give you a Yerusha. Chof Lamed. Chof stands for Keser, a crown. Lamed is La'olam Haba. In Olam Haba, you'll get a crown as a reward for this learning Torah and doing Chesed. So the Toldos Shimshon says that our Mishna is corresponding to all these oisius and the lessons that it teaches you. And he starts off that our Mishna says, Kol ha'osik b'Torah l'shma, anyone who learns Torah l'shma. So the Mishnah lists all his milas. Nikra Reya, he's called a friend. What does it mean he's called a friend? Because we find that, and that's Keneged the Aleph. Aleph Beis we said was learning Torah. Aleph means learning, and Bina, Beis is Bina, Torah. So someone who learns by his Rebbe, he's called a Reyai. A Reyai, a friend, because the Pasuk says in Tehillim, Laman Achai v'Reyai. So when one learns by his Rebbe, he's learning the Chochmah. Chochmah is what someone learns by his Rebbe, the facts of the Torah, and Beis, Bina, is the differentiation between two things. Lahaven Dava mitoch Dava. That's Bina. So Reya is the one that's learning the Chochmah of his Rebbe, that's Reya. Laman Achai v'Reya. He's sitting by his Rebbe learning, so he's called a Reya. That's the Aleph. What's Ohuv? Ohuv is corresponding to Bina. Because Bina is, once he understands Torah, once he understands what he learned from his Rebbe, and now he starts going deeper into it, that's called Bina. So why is one who has Bina a Ohuv? He's beloved. Because the Pasuk in Yeshaya says, that the Eibishter says, Kiloi am binoisu. You're not a nation of understanding. Al-Keni lo yirachamenu, I say you. Therefore, the Eibishter doesn't have any mercy, and he doesn't have any love for a nation that doesn't have Bina. So we see the opposite is also true. That if one has Bina, if one has understanding, then he has Ahava from Hashem. So the first two milas that the Mishnah lists, Reya and Ohuv, that's corresponding to Aleph Beis. Reya is the one who learns by his Rebbe, Laman Achai v'Reyai, and Ohuv is connected to Beis, the Aleph Bina. Once you understand Torah, then you have Ahava from Hashem, because Hashem loves one who has Bina. That's Aleph Beis. And the Mishnah continues, Oyev es hamokim, Oyev es habrius. You love the Eibishter and you love people. What is that corresponding to? That's corresponding to the Gimel Dalet. Gimel Dalet, we said, was Gemoil Dalet. You should do chesed with poor people. We know that the Eibishter, that's his umnus. The Eibishter is constantly doing chesed. The Gemara in Sotah says, Torah tchilasa gemilas chasadim, v'soifa gemilas chasadim. The beginning of the Torah, the Eibishter is doing chesed, making clothing for Adam and Chava. The end of the Torah, the Eibishter is burying Moshe Rabbeinu. It's also chesed. So the beginning of the Torah is chesed, the end of the Torah is chesed. That's the umnus of the Eibishter. So one who's doing Gimel Dalet, he's also doing chesed, so he's a oyev es hamokim. He loves the Eibishter because he's going in the path of the Eibishter. The Eibishter is doing chesed constantly. Even if one does chesed with the Osher, he's still going in the path of chesed, in the way of the Eibishter, so he's oyev es hamokim. And if one does chesed for poor people, so then he's oyev es habrius, because he's doing it because he feels bad for people and he loves people, he wants to help them. So Gimel Dalet is oyev es hamokim, is Gimel, he's being goimel, he's doing chesed, so he's going in the ways of the Eibishter, so that shows that he's oyev es hamokim, he loves the Eibishter. And oyev es habrius, if the Gimel was giving the Dalet, if he was doing chesed with a poor person, so then he's oyev es habrius. That means he loves people also and he wants to help them. What's the Mishnah's next Maila, Mesameach es Hamokim, he makes the Eibishter happy, and Mesameach es Habrius, he makes people happy. So the Toldos Shimshon says this is also included in the Gimel Dalet, because the Gemara said that why is the leg of the Gimel facing the Dalet? Because the Gimel, the one who's being Goimel Chesed, runs after the Dalet, runs after the poor person. And therefore, you Mesameach es Hamokim, if the Eibishter sees that you're running after a poor person to give him tzedakah, so then you're Mesameach es Hamokim, you're making the Eibishter happy. What's Mesameach es Habrius? Because the Gemara said, why is the Daled leg slanted towards the Gimel? Because if one is receiving tzedakah, he's the Daled, he's the poor person, he should also make himself be found to the one who's looking to give him tzedakah, to make his job easier, that he shouldn't have to search him out. So if this person that's learning Torah is the one that's receiving the tzedakah, so he's also doing it the right way. He's leaning towards the one giving him, and he's making him happy. He's making the Baal Chesed happy, that he doesn't have to search for him, and it's easy for him to find him. So that's Mesameach es Habrius. He's making people happy by being the recipient of the tzedakah, and he's helping himself be found. So he's making the one who's giving him the tzedakah happy. And the Mishnah continues that one who learns Torah Lishma is Malbashtoi Anova V'yira. He reaches a level that he gets the midah of Anivus, he's humble and Yira. Because the Gemara over there says, why is the Daled's face facing the opposite of the Gimel? His back, the back of the Daled is facing the Gimel, because the Gimel should give him B'tzinah. He should give him the tzedakah hidden. He shouldn't give it to him in front of his face. Because the truth is that the Ani should come to the Usher and ask him for money, but then the Ani will be embarrassed. So it's the one who's doing the tzedakah's job, not to be a balgaiva and not to say that the Ani should come to him. Rather, he should go and find the Ani. Therefore, it's malbash toyanova. He's acting humbly and looking for the Ani, that the Ani shouldn't have to come to him, and he could go search out the Ani. That's malbash toyanova. He gets cloaked in the midah of Anivus, because now he's searching out the Ani. And what's Yira? He gets fear of the Eibishter, because the one who does tzedakah properly, the pasuk says, "V'hoyo ma'isa tzedakah sholem." That when you do tzedakah, then you're being miyachid the name of the Eibishter, and that is referring to Yira. The one who has Yira is the one who's being miyachid the Eibishter's name. And finally, we get to Zayin Ches Tes Yud Chof Lamed. What Zayin Ches? We said that if somebody is going to learn Torah and do Chesed, then the Eibishter is going to be Zon Oischo. Zayin is, he gives you Mezoinus. How do we see that in our Mishnah? Because our Mishnah continues and says, "U'machshartu li es tzaddik," that it prepares him to be a tzaddik. This tzaddik is referring to Yosef HaTzaddik. Yosef HaTzaddik gave Mezoinus to the whole world. So if someone is going to learn Torah Lishma and do this chesed of Goimel Dalim, then the Eibishter is going to give him to be a tzaddik, like Yosef HaTzaddik. He'll have parnosa, and he'll be able to give everybody else parnosa. And the ches was chen. The Gemara said the ches is corresponding to chen oischa. The Eibishter will give that people will find favor. You'll find favor in people's eyes. And that's chosid. That's the next word of the Mishnah, chosid. Because if someone's a chosid, he has Yir Shemayim, then he finds chen in people's eyes. Because the Gemara in Sukkah says, Kol mi sheyesh bo chen, anyone who has chen, biyadu ashu Yer Shemayim, it's clear and it's known that he has Yer Shemayim. And the Mishnah continues and says he's a Yoshar. What's Yoshar? Yoshar is, the pasuk says, Kisase ha'toiv ha'yoshar. And the Chazal say toiv is the din, shuras adin. Yoshar is lefnim shuras adin. That means that someone is moichel and he doesn't have to take revenge, even if he's not oimed al midoisav. Someone wrongs him in any way, He's moichel, that's Yashar. He goes lefnim Mishru Sadin and says, I don't have to take revenge, I can forgive. What does he gain from being a Yashar? So the Toldos Shimshon brings the Gemara, the Rav Huna got weak and he was sick, and the Eibishter said that because he doesn't hold grudges, then the Eibush is going to make him better also. And he got better. So we see when someone is a Yashar and he forgives, then he's bringing Chayim, he's bringing life upon himself. And the Mishnah continues that he's a Nemon, he's a trustworthy person. And what does he get from that? What's the benefit of being trustworthy? Because the Pasuk says, Ish amunos rav brachos, that anyone who's trustworthy, the Eibishter showers upon him bracha. Bracha, the Toldos Shimshon says, is gematria zochar. He'll have boys, he'll have children, zechorim. Now the Mishnah continues and says, Chof Lamed, we said, was keser l'olam haba. He'll get a crown in olam haba. Where is our Mishnah referring to that? Because even though everyone is going to get olam haba, but in order to wear a crown in olam haba, it has to be that you don't do any averis. So the Eibush is going to help you, marchakto min achet. He'll distance you from averis, so you'll be able to wear this crown in Gan Eden. But even if someone doesn't do averis, but in order to get this crown, you have to do mitzvahs also. You have to come up to the next world with mitzvahs and masim tovim. And that the Mishnah continues and says, umakarvose l'dei schus. And I'll bring him closer to doing mitzvahs, and this way he can wear the crown, the Chof Lamed. So this is how the Toldos Shimshon explains the first half of our Mishnah that is corresponding to the Aleph Beis from Aleph through Lamed. In the schus of the Zera Shimshon, may we all have brocha and atzlocha b'chol ha'inyonim.